what you guys are talking about, man, I think it's important that we're able to like really express it correctly. This gang ideology or this it's really about peer orientation, right? Like, well, you could be family oriented. You actually are born family oriented as a child. You grow up and you look to your parents and for like unconditional love. Okay,
Right.
and what happens is, and that's the compass, right? Your compass is pointed at your parents,
Yes.
and you're oriented to them. But what happens, like you're saying, our families are so broken up, or we get, or they're not, and they're just uh, not correctly functioning, and they send us to these schools. And what happens is we end up orienting ourselves to our peers. Okay,
Yes.
so instead of and because that's who we begin to orient towards, we think the love is supposed to come from them. We think the unconditional love and the guidance is supposed to come from them. So we become peer orientated, and it's a really this is the real pandemic, the real one that's happening. And I just think it's important that we be able to really contextualize what is going on when like people are so eager to join gangs and prove themselves and look for that type of validation from children. Like you're a child, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if anybody has a kid, you'll see it instantaneously too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right when you send them to school, I mean, first grade, second grade, the shift really begins to happen. And Jesus said, "You can't serve two masters,"
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And that's the thing. You can serve your family, and that's who you should serve.
Yeah.
But if you don't,
I mean, as an adult, I understand exactly what you mean or saying. As a kid, you got to remember, it's poverty, it's drugs, another thing that, especially in the Chicano community, it's a rite of passage, unfortunately, for a lot of Chicanos in the hood. The rite of passage is, oh, homie, you gotta join a gang, you gotta go to jail. There's guys, you ain't been to prison, you ain't been about that. Like it's a crazy world that we live in. That most of white America doesn't do that. Most of white America is trying to make their money. Yeah, do they got poverty? Yeah, absolutely. But that rite of passage has been ingrained into us, unfortunately, and a lot of kids still believe that in order to get respect in your neighborhood, you got to join the hood, you got to put in work, you got to go to prison and do all this stuff. And unfortunately, those same young men will come out grown men and knowing that it was all a lie. And that's what I'm trying to help them realize that, hey, homie, you don't got to go down that route, carnal. You don't got to be a punk, but you can be a grown ass man and
right,
take care of business. But that's why I say, being a gangster, shooting somebody, that's the easy part, homie. That is not hard. If you're really about that business, I can tell you that's not the difficult part. The difficult part is dealing with the consequences once you get busted. One, and two is waking up every morning at 5 a.m. whether you want to or not, because you got to put food in the fridge, you got to keep the lights on, you got to carry that card note, you got to carry the rent, your kids need clothes, like all this stuff that really adds up. That a lot of people will say screw it and go back to jail. The tough guy is the guy that gets up every morning and takes care of his family, man. And unfortunately, a lot of people just don't see that yet.
man, you're so right. And so the rite of passage, this is something that has been ingrained to us, right? Well, when we were, 3,000 years ago, or even 2,000, 1,000, when you were just living in these smaller tribes, there was always a rite of passage,
Right.
And dude, they're so crazy right now. Like there is actually rite of passages ingrained in us by nature, right? One of them called puberty,
Right.
and that's why you got these sick people out here trying to stop puberty,
Yeah.
giving the kids puberty blockers, man, because they understand that there is a growth and development that occurs naturally. So you're so right, man, and the kids aren't going to see it. I didn't see it for a long time, man, but that's why it's so important as grown people that we reorientate ourselves to our family, that we step back from that peer ideology, and that we start to become mentors to the young
Absolutely.
people, man.
Absolutely.
And we can't, like, I get it, like there's not a lot of opportunities, man, but we have to like say what is valuable. You know what I'm saying? Like my family decided that we were going to homeschool our kids. and that was a that was a that was a big shift. I mean, I wasn't
Yes.
homeschooled.
Yes, that's a big
You know
shift.
what I'm saying? And so it's like, okay, so we're just gonna have one income between me and my wife. I'm like, damn, well, we're gonna have to cut back a lot. But it's like, but that's okay because the the value that we have by having the autonomy to teach our children what we want to teach them and to not subject them to this nightmare of becoming peer orientated, dude, this is the true generational wealth because we can start to set the example for our children and then our grandchildren.
Absolutely.
And if we continue to do this with unconditional love and intention, this is how things really change, and we come out of this communist nightmare
Starts
that
at
we
home.
find ourselves in.
For sure, my man. I
That's what's
appreciate
up,
the
man.
phone call.
Thanks, Joe. Take it easy.
Thank you, brother. Hey. Man, we getting some good ones, homeboy. That's what I'm talking about, homeboy. Come on, carnal.